What up? What up? What up?
Yeah.
You know what time it is? Your word man, Mizzle, the host with the most. Don't need to brag no boast. What I do is give a toast to the real folks who done paved the way for me and my players to play. You know what I'm saying? And this is part two. We told you I was coming back with the book breaking review. I got right hand with me, WI,
Yes, sir.
building once again. Yeah, man. So pretty much to capsulate what we looked at last time.
Right.
Buck breaking. We're breaking down the whole aspect of how it came to be, and the history behind it, the European. And it's ironic that we stopped at Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was a European excavator, I think. He was a diamond miner, but he was very brutal to Africans. He was also LGBTQ, which is
Say
hand
his
in
name
hand.
again. Say his name again.
Cecil Rhodes. So when you hear someone being called a Rhodes Scholar, it means someone that has a knowledge of certain, worldly knowledge. Basically, they're conforming to the ways and ideas of the whole attack on our people, which creates a open, let's say, it opens up a lane to demonize our people more, so to speak. Because when you talk about Cecil Rhodes being LGBT and diamond miner, and he really pretty much colonized the whole of Africa under the guise of white supremacy, some serious shit.
Right.
hmm So even the terms we use, to make someone like seem more knowledgeable and more intelligent, is steeped and based in sexual degradation. This is crazy. The whole thing in itself, right? Hmm. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep continue and do our part two. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna listen in on the DVD. I ain't gonna show y'all the visuals. I'm just gonna listen in, and we're gonna break it down. So yeah, man, this is
Some
some
history and buck breaking.
yeah, something to really think about as we go along. Get along, right?
All right, let's get it then.
Let's do it.
They even choke themselves while they're masturbating, while they're being involving themselves in sex, because they believe that that increases the strength of the orgasm. So that symbolically is something that they were looking at when they were lynching black people. They would lynch us by choking in something so they could see his power leaving his body, but they would get somewhat of this erotic type of orgasmic feeling about it.
When we talk about the white LGBT community trying to make comparisons to their struggle and black struggle, the white LGBT community, they've never had a comparative struggle. In fact, they're white and always say that. whereas the black LGBT people, they've always been punished. So there has never been a comparative struggle.
As an LGBT person or whatever the letters are, like, I don't have to know that. Like, you don't have to wear your sexuality on your sleeve, but there's no way that you can avoid seeing that I'm an original man.
The dominant society is backing your movement, then you're not really oppressed. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Like if I'm truly oppressed and I need freedom and help so that I'm no longer disenfranchised, the people who are oppressing me are not going to promote my freedom. They're not going to help me to get it. You know what I'm saying? So the fact that this is being pushed and there's so much money and funding to it everywhere lets us know that you're really not honestly oppressed.
During the colonization of not just here in America, but over in Africa, you had colonizers like Cecil Rhodes. Cecil Rhodes was LGBT. A lot of folks don't know that he was a closeted LGBT. And he was doing certain things to the people over there.
Nazis, a lot, they were harassed. Hitler and all this crew. Yeah, there's a documentary or a book called Complete Swastika. Check it out. It's all about harassment, Hitler Youth and all of that. That's where they were getting it from. All that, and all Ada Bond and all of those were just beards.
You hear that?
No, what he say?
The Hitler Youth. Were being basically molested and turned into Nazis.
Oh wow.
There's a book called The Pink Nazi. You know what I'm saying?
Kind of sadistic thing are we dealing with, dog?
We don't even know on what level, right? And then we sit here and think, oh, it's just some other shit. It's just some other shit. It ain't ingrained in society in the way things are going, but bruh, when you really look at the shit, the Nazi party, they thought they were Aryan race. They thought they were superior because of their race.
Right. Little did they know.
He was molesting all the little Nazi boys. You know what I'm saying? So of course they're going to battle on some crazy shit. Talk about skin color and Aryan race and all that. They were gonna die out anyway. They're turning them inside out, you know? It's crazy. Let's continue.
Robert Baden-Powell, who was an officer with the British Army, he was over in Africa fighting with a lot of the Aboriginal people there and dominating and conquering and colonizing them. Well, he was a closeted white LGBT. And in fact, he was the person who started the Boy Scouts. And the Boy Scouts were put together to be a white supremacist nationalist organization to teach white boys about the importance of white nationalism. In fact, the Boy Scouts influenced Hitler's youth.
So if you're controlling the media and you're displaying black male in an effeminate manner, it's still showing the dominance and the power of European men. Think about this. I can make him put on a dress. And that's what they do. Did you notice in Hollywood, you know, it seems like you can't get to the next level unless you put on a dress.
There was a scene where I read, and I was worried about coming into work because they had us in these dresses. They're called burqas.
This is Corey Holcomb.
And I went straight to the director.
Who's that?
Oh, man, I'm not trying to mess up guys.
Corey Holcomb.
And, you know, they were like, oh, Corey, it's just a joke. I'm like, well, I don't joke like that. I can't put on a dress because this is TV. And a lot of people who pay to come see me are counting on me. And I'm counting on me.
when people talk about Black people in America and our struggle being comparative to the struggle of people in the LGBT community, nothing can be farther from the truth, because a lot of people in the white LGBT community was practicing the same anti-Black racism that we suffered in this country, and no person exemplifies that more than J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover, who was a white LGBT man, waged war on Black society. J. Edgar Hoover made it his mission to destroy any Black messiah or any progressive Black organization.
Robert Hart, a famous sociologist from the University of Chicago, died in 1944. He authored the concept of the Negro as the lady of the races. He said the Anglo-Saxon people were the man of the races, pioneering industrialists. He said the Negro people were the lady of the races. They are polite. They don't want to offend anybody. They are more inclined to the arts and expressive.
Roy Cohn was an infamous white LGBT lawyer during the Jim Crow era and going into the 70s. He was a part of the McCarthy trials where they were targeting Black men like Paul Robeson, calling them communists because of their views. He also sued Dr. Martin Luther King for libel. So if he could try to talk about the white LGBT's community's struggle is comparative to the Black struggle, they were some of the ones antagonizing and targeting Black people like Dr. King, Paul Robeson. Also, Roy Cohn was the lawyer for Donald Trump when Donald Trump was being sued for discriminating against Black people in the early 70s.
But yeah, it's nothing like being Black in America. Like, I don't remember all these, gay people being put into slavery and, being lynched and, you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's anecdotal stories of shit happening like that. I'm talking to the disproportionate degree that it happened to us. On one hand, they stand on a soapbox and say, Black men are missing in the lives of their children and missing in the home. And the reason we have so much crime among Black men is because of the absence of Black male role models. And then on the other hand, when Black men stand up as men, then they say that we're toxic and we're detrimental to society. You can't have it both ways.
Jim Jones up there in San Francisco, this was a white LGBT cult leader. A lot of folks don't know he was bisexual because he was having sex with some of those Black men that were following him. But he was up there in San Francisco. He became a cult leader. Many of his congregation, they were Black people. Black people up there in San Francisco. He was running like a finesse scheme where he would get Black people to give him the welfare checks. So Black people were looking at him as the white Jesus type of figure. So he finessed everybody to go down there to Guyana. Eventually, he got people to do a mass suicide. About 900 to 1,000 Black people died in one day. And some people say that might have been some kind of covert government operation.
Every negative in society, they're trying to put a Black face to it. So whether it is pedophilia, regardless of the facts that most pedophiles are white males, they will highlight Black men and put a Black face. When you talk about homophobia, the reality is you can't get any more so-called homophobic than evangelical Christians. But yet and still, they try to put a Black face on it. They want to blame the Black church. They want to blame Black men. They want to put a Black face to everything. And the reality is, there has been no one who has been more tolerant and supportive of homosexuals than Black people.
Big facts.
After inflicting horrendous butt-breaking atrocities on Black people during the slavery and the early Jim Crow era, white supremacist society began to refine their tactics, and different sectors of the dominant society began to co-opt the suffering that they inflicted on Black people in order to push their own agendas.
Whenever we try to superimpose someone's struggle upon the Black struggle, virtually everyone does it. we are actually devaluing what Africans did. And we are actually stealing what Africans are able to do by saying that all of these countries are the same.
Black men set the style for all young men all over the world because that's why hip hop, gangster, thug, rap, and rap video sell so well around the world, and also why it's so stagnant. It has not changed in 30 years. Why? Because those who put the money behind it, for the most part, sell a lot of it in Japan, Sydney, Berlin, Paris, Rome, London, Liverpool. And Japanese guys don't know how to dance. They just jump up and down, with that offbeat stuff. And they are familiar with the current rap genre, so they don't want to change. Now, why are they in it? Because, like everybody in the industrialized world, there is LGBTQ influence that is attempted to emasculate them. So when they see the hip hop gangster thug rap video, there is all of this masculine imagery that they identify with. So what Black youth set is the image all of the world's youth pick up.
I thought it was utterly ridiculous that we joined as a feminist movement because our issue is not just, yes, sexism exists with that. But with African women, we're dealing with racism, classism, then we can talk about sexism, right? And so our part is to prioritize race, class, and gender, not gender and everything else. And I feel like with the feminist movement, they prioritize gender, not so much race and class.
Then the feminism essentially from regular feminism that was supposed to be for the rights of women, equal pay, and so forth, called suffragette feminism. But when Amazonian came into play, that would be gender feminism, that's what they call it. Gender feminism play became a more radical type of feminism that was to attack every sanctified structure of a community.
The white feminist movement has not worked for Black women. It's not for us. I will never call myself a feminist because it's a trap. Like, if we look at it historically, the only reason why white women have ever included us in half their numbers is to destroy whatever we have going on. If you look back to the women's suffrage movement, Elizabeth Cady Stanton and Susan B. Anthony, they didn't care anything about Black women. The only reason why they wanted to make sure they got the right to vote was Black men may have the right before them. And they were quoted saying that Black men, they're not worthy of the vote.
White evangelicalism,
You hear that?
white rag, white feminism is nothing but white supremacy.
You hear that? They were saying that white women wanted to vote because they're afraid that Black men got to vote before them.
No, that's ridiculous. We all know that ain't true. Like, come on, bro.
So, at the end of the day, it's like, why would the white woman want to be on top of Black men? It's because they hand in hand with their oppressor.
That's right.
So what they're really doing is they're fighting over power to manipulate and control us. You know what I'm saying? White woman and white man. But at the same time, white women are more vulnerable to their own emotions. So they'll have, 9 times out of 10 they bow down to the original man. But it's these white women that are so despicable that they'll throw away a whole race of people just to act like they're going up against their own sexual counterpart. But that's how it goes, So don't think just because y'all laid up with these little white women that they ain't thinking about dominating the street in your ass too. You know what I'm saying? But on the same token, don't be afraid to flex your muscle, so to speak. Oh, talk about. But I'm just saying though, it's messed up because they wanted to vote before black men. Why is that? You know why that is?
Why is that?
Because the LGBTQ. These women were LGBTQ, and they didn't care nothing about men and them like that. They don't care about nothing about that. You know? So when you on that mentality, plus you got the white supremacist mentality, ooh,
Right.
crazy.
That's a whole lot that, you know.
In heels. And so many of our sisters have joined with white feminists to try to emasculate black men. And so we have to be able to stand up boldly and strongly and say, listen, I'm a man. And I'm going to stand in my maleness and in my manhood, regardless of what society has to say about it.
And we are fighting against oppression. And then here come white women saying, oh, I'm oppressed too. I'm a woman, I'm oppressed. And then they pull black women out of the civil rights movement and turn us against our own men. And we're seeing it happening now. Everybody was protesting Black lives. And then here come white women say, me too.
The racist Caucasians start attacking the woman, telling her she was lazy, telling her that she got bad people around her. You know, this movie Claudine. I just really think people should watch it because it shows you how they used to things that they do to the black man now. That's what they used to do to the sisters. They used to tell us something was wrong with her, but they switched it up. Now they're saying something's wrong with the man, and they're turning the sisters against the man. In every way. So their power with the media and things like that is real.
They talk about the women, but it's a trick. Because on one hand, they'll say how great the woman, black woman is, but they say, well, she's fat. She can't keep a man. She's not a good mother. And she's the bottom of the barrel, even though she's so strong. So what they give, they're taking away at the same time.
What we've seen, especially in the last few months, magazine covers that have been coming out, time.com, so on and so forth, that are championing the image of black woman, lone survivor, lone, kind of hero. She's the moral center of the movement, the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, and black men end up kind of falling into the background if they're there at all. This is not an accident. This agenda again goes back to what I think, this idea that black men really have no place, no significance, and our job is to follow the path that we're given, run by white societies that has filtered through black women.
There's a lot of people who say, like, I should understand intersectional feminism because I'm a black woman. But I honestly believe that intersectionality is escapable. I can say that I'm a feminist, and by that way, I'm able to absolve myself from my blackness, and I can put this fact that I'm a woman before that. And the fact that I'm black comes before all of that. Comes before the fact that I'm a woman, sexual orientation, religion, whatever different things that people have going on. The fact that I'm black comes before all of that. So I think that in the '60s there was more choice. You have the ability to step away from that and into something else. Back during the times of slavery, there was no choice. You couldn't step away from the blackness. You were reminded of it every day, and there was no other thing that you could run and hide behind and call yourself a feminist over calling yourself a black woman.
They take all of these dead black males, young black men, and they convert them to a bait thing, support black lesbianism and the destruction of the black family.
Feminism became the battering ram that broke in crashed in the doors of Congress and opened the way for homosexual rights.
Well, after Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation came
You hear
out,
what I just said?
what was an excellent film. One of the things I saw was a push by Black feminists to remove Nat Turner's name from his own rebellion and suggest that it should just be everyone that lived in the area. It should just be named after the area as opposed to honoring Nat Turner. So this idea that, well, we like the sacrifice, we like the rebellion, but we just have to remove this Black man face from it.
They did the same thing with Nat Turner. They tried. They put the bone out that he was involved. I think it was called Confessions of Nat Turner. It was a white dude that went to, I guess, the prison right before he was hung, and he claims that Nat Turner confessed to having same-sex relationships. But this is about population control. We have to understand. It's about population control. It's also about destroying the oldest institution in the world, and that's the Black family. Black families are essential to building a Black nation. So if you want to destroy a nation, well, we have to destroy the family. How do we destroy the family? Well, we put a wedge between the fundamental building blocks of the family, and that's the Black man and Black woman.
The white LGBT community, they used the incident at Stonewall in New York to create a lot of myths and misconceptions about what happened there. And they've used that, the myths of what happened there, as a part of their civil rights history. The Stonewall Inn was a gay club in New York in 1969. In the 1960s in New York, there were a lot of clubs. The police just kind of looked the other way. The mafia was controlling these clubs, and the mafia had a lot of criminal activity going on in these clubs. The police knew about it, and the police were corrupt. They would get paid off the other way. Now, sometimes when the police wouldn't get their payoff, they would raid ladies. And the Stonewall then was one of those places. There was a lot of illegal activity. That's why it got raided. It didn't get raided because there were gay people in it. That's a lie that they like to tell. That is not why it got raided. It got raided because of criminal activity. What happened was there happened to be Black people at this particular club partying with the white LGBT people. The Black people began to get taken by the police. They fought the police, and that's what the Stonewall riot was. It was a lot of the Black people fighting the police up there in New York. The white LGBT community, they split that into them used because of their sexuality. They even made a movie where the main character was a white man, when the white man didn't even exist. So there were a lot of lies about the Stonewall.
Police were shaking people up for money. They fought back. And many of those people were Black and Puerto Rican.
Changing the history, not only when it comes to the people, the movements, but also the sexual orientation of the people in the movement. Brother Malcolm X, for example, I heard this narrative from some documentary that came out, Malcolm X, a life of reinvention, I believe was the name of the documentary. Manning Marable, the primary individual who was a part of that, who wrote a book that took me 2 years to write, is the primary person, and there were others, who came up with this narrative that Malcolm was gay.
They also...
You hear that? Bridget. You hear that? They said Brother Malcolm was gay. There's an author that came up with a narrative that Brother Malcolm was gay. You know what I'm saying? So they can come up with all types of shit.
Anything to discredit a man.
Exactly. Anything to discredit a man. They also said that Malcolm was broke. Malcolm did this. Malcolm did that. I don't know. I feel like they go out of their way to discredit Malcolm. And it's a sad thing because Malcolm was less promiscuous than all the other women out there, civil rights leaders.
Right. That Muslim business ain't no joke.
He had a wife. He had children. But hey, man, They're gonna do what they do, right?
Not only have they taken our labor or our music, they're also taking our legacy. So, you know, they want to make all our leaders gay. I saw Brooklyn Library of Congress saying Benjamin Banneker is gay. I guess maybe he made a deal though along with the clocks and stuff. We just don't know that. We'll find out one day. We'll find this papers right.
Our brother Fred Hampton, Black Panther leader out of Chicago, he was the person who had something called the Rainbow Coalition. That was the Black Panthers working with different groups to have a coalition and to have an allyship in order to fight against injustice. After our brother was,
You heard that? Rainbow Coalition. Who co-opted the rainbow? LGBT. This shit is deeper than we think, bro.
That's crazy.
assassinated by the government and the COINTELPRO program that LGBT J. Edgar Hoover put together. That Rainbow Coalition got co-opted by some of the older civil rights people like Jesse Jackson. He had the Rainbow Coalition, and then the white LGBT community got a hold of that Rainbow Coalition and rode the coattails of that.
And they took that word, the rainbow, meaning all different colors. See what it colors, that's the difference. Now they began to co-opt that, the LGBT community, or the gay community, I'm just going to call it that, just factor it down to the gay community. They took the rainbow color as their own when Jesse Jackson's whole Rainbow Coalition came up on an investigation anyway.
See, one of their problems is they're homosexual, same sex. See, it used to be the male gender and the female gender had sex together, but when it was male on male or female on female, that was bad. But see, they've taken that word gender over the last 20 years, 25 years, and they have converted it. So now there is one long spectrum with 58 genders on it. So that gets rid of the onus of same sex if there's only one sex.
There was an incident that happened in 1977 with Richard Pryor. Richard Pryor did a charity event. I think it was a charity event in Hollywood at the Hollywood Bowl. And it was a white LGBT event. And Richard, I don't think he knew the crux of what was going on with it. But when he went there to do his routine, he kind of snapped on the audience. He cursed the audience out because he felt like the white LGBT community was using him, because he pointed out that they were talking about justice for them, the white LGBT community, and they were trying to compare their struggle with black struggles. But some of the people who were performing, who were black at that same event, they were being discriminated against, and Richard Pryor didn't like it. So he went out there and just cussed the whole audience out. He was telling them, if you're talking about justice, where were all you people during the Watch riots, which happened just a decade before that event? So he called them out, and it was a very infamous incident where he cussed that white LGBT audience out.
In the school system, you see that any like boys who show hypermasculinity, what they will call, or toxic masculinity, what they will call, which is like boys being rambunctious, being themselves, showing agency for themselves, get punished. They get sent out of class. They are hard to control, per white teachers, especially by white females. These blue boys are seen as threats. And so I believe that there's a concerted effort to reward boys for being less masculine or less dominant in the school environment.
Black boys are definitely targeted and marginalized more than Black girls. I've experienced it. I remember being in school and coming into class and then seeing some of my Black male classmates come in, and the teacher's like, go to detention. I don't even want to deal with you today. And it's like the class hasn't even started yet. In the New York City Department of Education, if a child reports to a teacher that they have changed their gender or identity or their orientation or their name, and they want to change their pronouns. Let's say if a child, if Sarah grows up and by the time she gets in the 3rd grade, she says, hey, I'm not Sarah anymore. I'm not a girl. I'm a boy, so you can call me Johnny, right? Use the pronouns he, him, and his. For me, my name is Johnny. Do not call me Sarah. I am not a girl. Now, it is policy. If you look at the policies, it is actual policy that the teachers and adults in the school have to honor that child's choices.
As a part of that, you had someone by the name of David Thorstad, who was the founder of NAMBLA. So you had NAMBLA, gay rights, all coming together. The founder of the gay rights movement used to wear a shirt that on the front he said gay rights for all, equal rights, etc. And on the back it said NAMBLA walks with me. So he even endorsed NAMBLA, which was the North American Man Boy Love Association, which is men who love boys. They had a combination and a joint movement with the gay rights movement.
If someone says, I am transgender, my name is John, whatever you think their gender identity is or their pronouns should be, you better use their correct pronouns. You better refer to that child by the pronouns that they said that they want, or you could lose your job, or someone could possibly sue you for bullying, harassment, and the equivalence of like a hate crime.
Now, the body develops before the mind does. So the body starts to develop. The mind isn't even there yet. Why are we introducing these complex ideas that the body isn't even going to catch up to for the next few decades, maybe the next couple of decades? You know, so in my opinion, it helps just add more confusion, because not only do children have to think about being children in their schoolwork, but now there's this added factor of sexuality, which is something that they've never really had to think about. It's something that was not even triggered yet. Their body is not even at a place where they should be on that topic.
If you really look at it, the basis of the civil rights movement was the church. But the basis of the church was the black family. And the only way you could dismantle an ongoing movement like that is to dismantle the family structure. Right? So once that family structure is dismantled, you don't really see a significant protest movement in the black community until, I should say the last one I saw after the civil rights movement was probably the South African anti-apartheid. And then from there, 2015 rise of Hands Up, Don't Shoot, which evolves into BLM and the agenda you're talking about. That break is significant. It speaks to the breaking down of the black family, the disruption of any kind of gender norm, and from there, everything is everything. By the time you get to BLM, there is no nuclear family structure. Men are not really important unless we're dying and being used for other people's political advancement. And from there, black men end up having to chart their own path in a way we never had to before.
Well, we see a paradigm shift now, where we see a young group of activists that are neither tied to the church nor affiliated with the NAACP or any other civil rights organization, because we have abdicated our responsibility. And far too many church leaders are more concerned with being able to curry favor with white America. They don't want to be viewed as being rabble rousers or bomb throwers or troublemakers. They don't want to jeopardize certain grants and resources that they may be receiving.
In the 90s, the whole barrage, whole propaganda, black people are homophobic, that was part of the effort to make the black community, the black culture, gay friendly, en route to totally homosexualizing the black community. When you talk about the church, which is supposed to be the face of this homophobia, well, the face of the church is the pastor, right? So the way I kind of always viewed that, this notion that black folk are homophobic was really a dig at really heterosexual black men in positions of leadership, how they are the bastion.
So yeah, we're gonna cut it off right there, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's how the breakdown is, you know. Once they co-opt the movements, they try to infiltrate. And once they infiltrate and they get in, there ain't no telling how they could confuse the people, you know. So we just gotta be careful and be mindful of that. Every movement we got, they done infiltrated, they done try to co-opt in some way, shape, or form or fashion to the 9 areas of human activity, which is labor, law, sex, politics, education, and there's a few other ones I forget at the moment, but those are the main ones right there. So in order for us to be on our P's and Q's, we gotta be hip to the game, man. You know what I'm saying? And if we ain't hip, we ain't gonna be fully equipped. So y'all better get on board with what's good out here, man. Cause there's too many pitfalls in our way, you know. So remember, everything to do is to copy us and to discombobulate, misconstrue the truth. You know what I'm saying? So don't get it twisted. It really is what it is. See, by the time this DVD goes around and people get notion of it, we are gonna realize that we've been duped, we've been had. So was there really a civil rights movement? The real movement is to end white supremacy and replace it with a system of justice. Your boy Mac Mizzle. And you know my slogan, keep it real in the field. Forget how you feel. M-Town down. Hold it down, player.